Calaroga Shark Media.
Very busy Saturday, and I should start with the real news, but as I sat down to record, I heard from friend of the show, Scott Beckett, live from American Airlines Flight 1021. He is telling me that the airline is in on the Bob's Burgers host. Now, if you're a new listener, I have two questions for you. One, have you ever seen Bob's Burgers? The answer is no. No one has. And two, and this is the real good part of the conspiracy, have you ever met anyone who has seen Bob's Burgers? The answer is also no. I get that the artwork exists, and Scott has sent me American Airlines is posting the artwork for Bob's Burgers, but as we know, there's no such show. It's just something Kevin Burkhardt promotes on Sundays. Speaking of football, I had the Vikings Thursday night, and mine was a 16-point pick, so I'm putting him in the dust. Again, I'm in 56th place, but I'm not letting him catch me. He also said he was listening to Daily Comedy News on the flight, as one does, and apparently my Patton Oswalt Star Trek commentary made him chuckle, and his flight neighbor and his seatmate said, "You seem to have liked that." Thank you, Scott. All right, I digress. Where should we start? Let's start with late night, because I didn't do it yesterday. As you could tell, today is a much happier show than yesterday. Catching up from during the week. Did you see when the president went out for seafood the other night and the National Guard's out in D.C.? Well, Seth Meyers said President Trump dined with several members of his cabinet at Joe's Seafood, while RFK just ate something they hit on the drive over. It's hilarious. Kimmel said there are hundreds of troops on the state, and somehow they let a 34-time convicted felon waltz into a restaurant, no questions asked at all. Sharp commentary there, Jimmy Kimmel. Michael Costa said, "Hey, nothing says I feel safe like driving one block from the White House surrounded by a fleet of armored cars and countless Secret Service agents." Kimmel again. Kimmel talked about that drawing that Jeffrey Epstein apparently had. Kimmel said, "I know how you get him," meaning the president, "to admit that he did this. All you have to do is say, that drawing is great, and he'll immediately take credit for it." Colbert said, "And you know what they say, if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, that duck shouldn't be allowed within 300 yards of a school." Late night was good this week. Fallon had commented on the White House renaming the Department of Defense the Department of War. Fallon said, when they heard about the big change, the owner of Cracker Barrel was like, maybe take a minute and think about it. You know what I've been thinking about? Jerry Seinfeld. The horrible Charlie Kirk story has given Mr. Seinfeld a lot of cover. I noticed on Friday the mainstream media was starting to notice the Seinfeld's comments. The weekend may help save Mr. Seinfeld, but I'm not sure that story's going away. College football today. Notre Dame takes on Texas A&M at 7:30. There were a few articles during the week about Shane Gillis's love of Notre Dame. It even made the New York Times. They write, Notre Dame limits sideline passes for home football games to coaches' family members, so Tommy Rees discovered a long-lost cousin. That's how Shane Rees ended up on the sidelines. Coach Rees, who was the quarterback for the Irish from 2010 to 2013, said the students blew their cover. They noticed that cousin Shane was a famous comedian. Coach Rees says the students were going nuts. Our cover was blown. Now, last weekend, Shane Gillis opened for Zach Bryan at Zach's Notre Dame concert. I saw Zach during the summer. Fantastic. And he sounds way better live than he does on the records, and he sounds really good on the records. Notre Dame coach Marcus Freeman said, Shane's an awesome human, right? He's got a lot of notoriety just because of who he is and the way he really performs his craft. We appreciate him, and the support he gives our program makes us kind of cool, I guess. For the team season opener against Miami, Notre Dame listed Shane Gillis on the injury report as out because of tailgating. Last year, during the first round of the college football playoff, the jumbo screen showed Shane Gillis. Fans went nuts. The camera shifted off Shane. The crowd booed. The New York Times writes, back on Gillis, cheers. Back off Gillis, boos. Shane said, it makes me slightly uncomfortable because people were like, who the hell is this guy? But I think I represent a good Notre Dame fan. I never went to school there. Of everything I've been lucky enough to have happen to me, this is probably easily the coolest, and it's definitely the coolest with my family. During the concert last weekend, Shane Gillis exited the stage. He high-fived fans and shouted, F Michigan. Oh, there's more. Brady Quinn said, every single night in Ireland, we hung out. There were some stories. Gillis invited former quarterback Ian Book to a show in Sacramento. The night ended at 3 a.m. at a blackjack table with Book's high school friends, Shane Gillis, and UFC fighter Nate Diaz and his entourage. I used to have nights like that when I worked at Sirius, and I'm not just trying to be cool. Like that, we would go to Vegas. One of my high school friends, Matt, lives in Las Vegas, and we would go out, and there'd be someone that was, Shane Gillis level famous and their friends, and you'd wind up at the blackjack table at 3 a.m. I could relate to this, believe it or not, as lame as I am doing a podcast in the basement. I wasn't always this old. Former guard Chris Watt said, Shane's almost reserved, down to earth. He could probably name all the Notre Dame quarterbacks I played with and actually did know them all. You never know these days how big fans some people are. He truly grew up living the team. What a great profile in the Times, right? This is good for everybody. And so much more fun than yesterday's podcast, I'm just going to point out. Meanwhile, Bert Kreischer spoke about Bert's viral Florida State pregame speech. Who's Florida State got today? We should know this. They're off today. Well, that ruins my show. What are you doing? They play Kent State on the 20th, if you can wait. Come on, Florida State schedule makers. I had this all lined up. I should have checked before. Anyway, Bert Kreischer opened up about his viral Florida State pregame speech. Bert told Ridge Eisen, Florida State called me and said, would you give a pump-up speech before the game? And I was like, yes, but you got to give me the parameters. I literally scraped everything they wrote for me. I walked out with no script, and I gave what I would argue is my best. What did he say? Much funnier than I will read to you. Bert said, my name is Bert Kreischer. I spent 6.5 years at this beautiful institution. I'm not even sure if I have a degree. I was baptized in 1991 in that end zone when there were still wooden bleachers. And when that spear went into the 50-yard line, tears streamed down my eyes. Those tears were garnet and gold. Alabama thinks they're going to come in and roll all over us. They don't know where they are. I only have 2 words to say to you. Go Noles. Bert said, 90,000 people pop up. I'm crying. Tears are coming down. My shirt comes off. Tom Segura's crying. The athletic director was like, that was amazing. Coach Norville's pumping his arms. They go, do you want to see the spear drop? And I go, yeah. And they take us. I'm shirtless to the 50-yard line. I look at Tommy. He's crying. I'm crying. It's the best day of our lives. That's what the Alabama game was for us. Florida State 31, University of Alabama 17. More sports. Dramatic actor Adam Sandler. He stopped by the University of South Carolina. He was at the Carolina Coliseum, and he played basketball with the men's basketball team on Wednesday afternoon before doing a concert at the Colonial Life Arena. Sandler said, shout out to the Gamecocks. I got to meet the coach, a lot of the players. They were nice enough not to swat off all my shots. See, this is so much more fun today. If you listen to Friday's show was a little serious. The news was a little serious. This is fun. This is what I want to do. Some SNL news. Another cast member has left. Who is it? Johnny Mac. It is Ego Nwodim, who joined the show in 2018. She said, the hardest part of a great party is knowing when to say goodnight. This is on Instagram. And she said, I am immensely grateful to Lauren for the opportunity, to my castmates, the writers, and the crew for their brilliant support and friendship. Week after week on that stage taught me more than I could have ever imagined. And I will carry those memories and that laughter with me always. Now invite me to your weddings, please. During the week, Jimmy Kimmel talked about retiring. I'll go first. You're not retiring. Why would you retire? It's a great gig. You have the summers off. As I've said in the past, just tell it. If you want to work less, just tell ABC, I want a longer winter break. I want to not do a show at all on Fridays. You guys can show Friday night videos or something. We'll tape 2 on Wednesday. We'll do 4 a week. You're not walking away from the show, Jimmy. You'd be insane. It's a good gig. And you're like my age. What are you going to do? Record a podcast in the basement? Kimmel's answer, I'm not prepared to answer that question. It's something I think about a lot. Things have changed over the last few years, the last 9 years. Every day is a new adventure, and I kind of take them as they come. So much press about the Spinal Taps. Everything about Spinal Tap 2 has been in character, in universe. So The Guardian went with the bit and said almost all of the Spinal Tap's catalog has been unavailable since release. At one point, their then label Megaphone took legal action to prevent them from making any music at all. From 1967's Spinal Tap Sings to 1982's Smell the Glove, the band made 11 studio albums, plus 4 rumored unreleased records, 2 live albums, as well as Nigel Tufnell's solo project Clam Caravan. Yet, since 1984, all that's been available has been the soundtrack to the film, featuring a selection of songs from those albums. Then, the band put out 1992's Break Like the Wind, a mixture of new tracks and re-recordings, and then a similar compilation on 2009's Back from the Dead. The Guardian tells us the problem is that for nearly 50 years, ownership of Spinal Tap's catalog has been scattered. At one point, it was owned by shadowy Iranian operatives before Ian Faith faked his own death and distributed the songs around assorted faded celebrities like Mario Andretti and Billie Jean King. Now, even if Spinal Tap wanted to re-release the catalog, they couldn't find it to buy it back. And that is a fun Saturday episode of Daily Comedy News. Tomorrow's show will be good, too. I got a lot in the script, and I bounced like 7 things today, so we got plenty to talk about, and I'll meet you back here tomorrow.